Hello everyone and welcome back to Sudden Wealth. I hope you guys are doing very well. I continue to be here in my honeymoon and as you know, I've been recording in a bit of a suboptimal situation, but it's just for a little while longer, then I'll be back to recording as usual. If you do enjoy the content, please consider dropping that like and subscribe. I actually really need your help with that if I discuss anything political, because my video gets immediately shadow banned and it gets limited. Even if I say the most, innocent of things, it still gets like that. But we know the drill, right? Quick update: seems that bonds have stabilized around the 98 mark. We are a little bit above TLT side. As I've said, that is the most important one that you should have a look at. It's funny to see that DENT completely disappeared. He was predicting the top for the 25th time just this year alone, earlier when we had this correction, and now he's completely, we don't know, we cannot find him. Maybe he's on vacation, I don't know. He said he's going to retire if there's not a 80% market crash by next year. So we'll see if that's the case or not. I seriously doubt. He has made this statement of retirement about 5 times that I've seen, probably more than that. So anything is possible with those guys. Now we've put new all-time highs in the Dow Jones, in the S&P 500. Russell seems to be catching up a little bit. We are still about 210 points or so from a new all-time high, but that's basically the last index that's really missing. That index mimics or represents the most the real economy, which, as we all know, is struggling. So that's why, even though the liquidity is increasing in the markets, that's the one that takes the longest to go up. However, if we do have a more benign market environment, low interest rates, maybe Trump winning the election, then probably Russell will really outperform. That's one of the predictions that I got wrong. I thought that the Russell 2000 would outperform better, but that's mostly because I thought that the rate cuts would come a bit sooner, around May or so. But as you've seen before, when we price in rate cuts, the Russell performs better than anything else. And I do believe that that will continue going forward. I see no reason for that to change. If we do, one of the things that I've noticed that really changes markets, on top of liquidity, obviously. So liquidity is the number one, meaning the fact that you have more currency units in circulation, may it be in assets rather than real goods. That's why you can have asset price inflation and not CPI inflation like we've had, since 2008. The other one is taxes. So when Trump cut taxes back in 2017 or 18, those type of impacts last for a really long time. So if Kamala's idea of taxing unrealized capital gains actually goes through, then you may be in play for a massive correction, maybe 30-40%, until probably she will just change her mind and say, oh, actually, we're not going to do it. Because, this is the typical thing, which is she has a set of opinions, a set of policies, and then she changes everything depending on how the wind is blowing. But those kind of things, like structural tax changes and liquidity movements, meaning increases or decreases of liquidity, those matter more than anything else. Then sure, you can have, temporary black or white swans. Like you can have something that pushes you way above the liquidity available or pushes you way below the liquidity available. Things like the zombie virus, things like conflicts, things like big disputes amongst countries. Sure, that can make an impact, but it's not really the big drivers. So as long as those two drivers keep on going, that matters the most. And with that, Bitcoin at this stage is above 66,000. It seems that Rectember will not happen, as I've mentioned before. September should have been, if you look at historical patterns, a red month. However, this cycle has been the front-running cycle. We seem to be front-running everything by between 2 weeks to a month. So, I mean, meme coins, for example, meme coin season came ahead of time. The pump before the Bitcoin halving came ahead of time. The sell-off before the at the halving period came a little bit earlier as well. And now the pump that should come more obviously in Q4 came on the second half of September, which we were discussing here in the channel. That could be a very good possibility if we kept the the pattern of front running the cycle. Now we keep. This is very important. The elections in the US. I've said this before and I say it again because I see more and more people with the opinion that if one side wins, then it's the best thing ever. And if the other side wins, it's the end of crypto. I don't think that's the case. I think the difference between one and the other is if Trump wins, I think you get a 2016-17 kind of cycle. Like you get a bull market on steroids. And then it all depends if he carries forward his strategic asset reserve. And it depends on if he's going to actually do monthly purchases and things like that. So it depends. The devil will be in the details, so to say. But what you don't understand is we are having the same event just in different time periods. So for example, when we had the Bitcoin futures, that was 2017 in December, that day was the top of the cycle. Why was it so important? It was important because it started the narrative of Bitcoin ETFs, which came now. Now Bitcoin ETFs are done. So what is the next step? Strategic asset reserve for countries. That is the new ETF. See what I mean? It's a different narrative, but it's the same principle. We are just climbing towards different narratives as the cycles progress. Now, I've said it before, we have the potential to have a super cycle. I think it can happen, particularly if Trump wins and is doing better in the polls. Or you have a cycle a bit like 2020, 2021, which is if Kamala wins. So in my view, you're still going to have a good cycle because it's all about the liquidity, and liquidity is on the rise, and liquidity will be on the rise with the spending plans, with you can bet. I mean, no, I shouldn't say you can bet, but in my opinion, I think if she wins, you're going to have a new conflict in the region, potentially with Iran. That's my prediction. And you're going to have a lot of places to justify increased spending, which justifies increased liquidity, which means the currency is worth less, which means assets go up, which means things like Bitcoin do very, very well, and things like crypto in general. Then this is a good example. Andy hit $320 million at the top. And I've mentioned here in the channel, and you guys are the witnesses, so you won't let me lie. During bull markets, coins go down 70, 60, 65, 75, even 85%. And Andy went from 320 to 48 million, which is a 85% drop. And people were still selling that bottom. It's just, people just don't learn. I mean, they think, they hear a bull market and they think green candle after green candle after green candle. That happens at the last 20-25% of the bull market, which is the euphoric phase, which is when YouTube channels will try to convince you that this time is different, and this time there's not going to be a bear market, and this time nothing will stop crypto, and this time Bitcoin will go to $3 million, and this time Bitcoin will overtake blah, 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 and this time because of that, and the US and Germany and the others, and it's going to do this and that and the other. So when people start to convince you like that, and then something really stupid comes out, something like, a picture of a JPEG being sold for $1 million, right? When stuff like this start to happen, that's the euphoric phase. That's when cryptos are going up 40-50% per week, and it seems that will never stop, and people will come up to you with reasons of why this time is different, and it will never stop. And usually when that happens, you're close to the top. That's it. We are nowhere close to it. Usually it also matches up with what? With Coinbase being the most downloaded app in both Android, in both Google Play Store and both Apple Store. So that's usually when retail is all in. And then it's a race of price predictions. Bitcoin 10 million, Bitcoin 1 million, Bitcoin 500K, Bitcoin 750, Bitcoin 7.5 million, Bitcoin 52 million, Bitcoin 21 million, whatever. Then it's a race of price predictions. All of them will be wrong, of course. And the idea is to keep you in the market long enough so they can use you as exit liquidity. So understand that in 2025, most likely seems likely Q3 2025, you're going to hit a lot of this. Okay? And it's important that you realize that you're going to hit a lot of this. Also, one thing that I need to say, usually altcoins tend to peak 12 months after Bitcoin halving. So that would be April 2025. Now, last cycle, we had the double top, right? In May 2021 and then November 2021. But if you look at certain altcoins, a lot of them, I would say about 70% of them, peaked in May 2021. Like coins like BNB, coins like, I think Solana also peaked in May of 2021. The point being, 12 months after halving, most altcoins peak. And that's something that is important to keep an eye for. Last time, Ethereum topped in May 2021, and then X did like a 40x after that. Will that happen again with PulseChain, PulseX, etc.? Will it go forward by itself after the Bitcoin halving 12-month anniversary in April 2025? I don't know. We need to see. A lot of moving parts at this stage, but it's important to keep a good grasp on the market. And if you guys have been following me, you remember that just 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago we were in extreme fear. I had people constantly in my comment section asking me, are we still gonna go more down than from here? Should I sell? I don't think we're gonna have a bull market anymore. I think crypto will only come back in 2025 after the election. Oh, Meet Kevin was saying, don't hold crypto until November 2025 because that thing's gonna go down. And now Andy is at 185 million market cap. Hoppy is at around 50 million. PulseChain, PulseX, Inc., X are all, rising quite quickly. Bitcoin is above 66,000. Ethereum is above 2,600. And now all of a sudden, everyone is coming up with 100K Bitcoin in November, 200K Bitcoin in January, 1 million Bitcoin in May, and so on and so forth. So this just shows you how quickly things change. That's why I prefer to think about 2025. Q3 2025 seems to be the most likely one. Maybe Q2, we'll see. Somewhere between those 6 months, somewhere between April to September, maybe even a little bit of March if we front run the cycle again. But that's a possibility. Those are the things that then we start to enter into a mode of looking for top signals. Like in 2021, you had the Coinbase IPO, right? So you're looking for something that is so bullish that it needs to be the top. But we are still far away from it. There's still no retail craziness yet. And by the way, there should be, if we repeat the previous cycle, we should have some new thing coming out right at the end of the cycle that goes up hundreds of fold every week or something like that, like the NFTs did in the last cycle. And then, but it's impossible to know exactly when and what that will be. We will know. It's when everybody tells you that you can all lose money on that sub-segment of the crypto market, then okay, this is the final bubble, the one that pumps the hardest and basically burns the most as well at the end of the cycle. And with that, guys, thank you very much for your support. Thank you very much for listening in despite the setup, and I'll catch you in the next one.